Stop iteration error in Python. In Python, a stop iteration is a type of exception that occurs when we retrieve values manually from a collection. What is a stop iteration error? A stop iteration error is an exception that arises when an iterator has no more items to return. It usually occurs when the next function is used to retrieve values from an iterator. It is raised after all the elements have been exhausted. Example. The following example demonstrates how this error occurs when iterating beyond the bounds of a sequence. Greet equals end quote, hello end quote, users end quote. Iterator equals iter greet. Print next iterator. Print next iterator. Print next iterator. Output hello users. Stop iteration. Explanation. In the above example, we define a set named greet with two elements and create an iterator using the iter function. We use the next function to access each element, and a stop iteration error occurs when no elements remain. Common causes. During manual iterations, some common mistakes can lead to this type of error. These mistakes are listed below. 1. Iterator exhaustion. After all the elements of an iterable have been consumed, calling the next function again raises a stop iteration error. Example. The following example demonstrates the execution of iterator exhaustion using a loop. Hashtag defining a list. My_list equals end quote, hello end quote, users end quote. Hashtag calling iter function. Iterator equals iter my_list. Hashtag using a continuous loop. While true. Print next iterator. Output hello users. Stop iteration. Explanation. In the above example, we create a list named my_list and convert it into an iterator using the iter function. We then use the next function in a loop, which raises a stop iteration error after all elements are exhausted. 2. Manual iteration over a sequence. Instead of using a loop, we can manually iterate over a string, tuple, list, or any other iterable object by repeatedly calling the next function. Once all the elements have been consumed, the same error is raised. Example. The following example demonstrates how to iterate over the elements of an iterable object manually. Hashtag defining a tuple. My_tuple equals 1, 2, 3. Hashtag calling iter function. Iterator equals iter my_tuple. Hashtag iterating manually. Print next iterator. Print next iterator. Print next iterator. Print next iterator. Output 1, 2, 3. Stop iteration. Explanation. In this example, a tuple with 3 elements is passed to the iter function to create an iterator. The next function retrieves each element one by one. After all elements are consumed, a stop iteration error is raised. Handling stop iteration. The stop iteration error can be handled using several techniques that help prevent the program from terminating unexpectedly or becoming stuck during execution. The following methods explain different approaches to handle the stop iteration error effectively with suitable examples. 1. For loop. We can handle this error using a for loop. Python automatically handles the exception internally. Example. The following example demonstrates how to handle this error by using a for loop. Hashtag define a variable. Text equals end quote, Python end quote. Hashtag handle using a for loop. For chr in text. Print chr. Output. P, Y, T, H, O, N. Explanation. In this example, we define a string and print its characters one by one using a for loop. It demonstrates that the for loop continues execution until it reaches the last element of the iterable. 2. Try except using next. If we need to use the next function manually within a loop, we can use the try except keywords to handle the stop iteration error. Example. The following example demonstrates how we can use the next function manually within a loop using try except. Hashtag define a variable. Text equals end quote, Python end quote. Iterator equals iter text. Hashtag handle using try except. while true.
Try.
Print next iterator. Except stop iteration.
Break. Output. P. Y. T. H. O. N.
Explanation. In this example, we define a string and iterate over its elements using a loop.
We handle the
stop iteration error by using the try except keywords within the loop. 3. Using next with a default value. The next function accepts two parameters, the iterator and a default value. If the iterator is exhausted, the specified default value is returned instead of raising a stop iteration error. Example. The following example demonstrates how to handle the stop iteration error by passing a default value to the next function. Hashtag define a set. Greet equals end quote. Hello end quote. End quote. Users end quote. Iterator equals iter greet. Hashtag handle with the default value. Print next iterator end quote. Iteration end quote winky face. Print next iterator end quote. Iteration end quote winky face. Print next iterator end quote. Iteration end quote winky face. Output. Hello, users. Iteration end. Explanation. In this example, we define a set named greet and iterate over its elements using the next function. We handle the stop iteration error by passing the default value and hashtag 39 and hashtag 39 as the second parameter to the next function. 4. Generators. Generators automatically manage the iteration process, making it easier to work with iterators. Example. The following example demonstrates how generators can automatically handle the stop iteration error during iteration. Hashtag define a function. Def handle underscore with underscore generator. Yield 1. Yield 2. Hashtag iterate over generator. For value in handle underscore with underscore generator. Print value. Output.
1, 2.
Explanation. In this example, we define a function named handle underscore with underscore generator and return values using the yield keyword. Finally, we iterate over the generator function to retrieve its values.
Want to stay ahead in AI? Then join our WhatsApp channel today because we stay updated with latest tech. Just click the link below. Want to master the future? Then you need to hit subscribe right now because we bring you the best AI content. So please like and share this video.